Welcome to UESP, the unofficial Elder Scrolls pages. In our video today, we will cover all the basics of spellmaking, along with the best and the most useful custom spells you can stack and craft in the game. The use of Altar of Spellmaking allows you to craft custom spells, where you're able to merge multiple effects into one powerful spell. If you are here from Skyrim, this will be a new, flexible and useful mechanic for you, allowing you to optimize the magicka cost and the various strengths of the crafted spells. To access the Altar of Spellmaking, you can either go the game's main intended way and gain access to the Arcane University by getting a recommendation from every Mage's Guild, or you can simply access the altar within Frostcrag Spire Player Home add-on with a simple upgrade item, Mage Tallow Candle. Once you access the altar, you will notice spell effects on the left. Only the effects of spells that you as a player know of and are also able to cast will be shown on the list. The list will include magical effects from all schools of magic: destruction, restoration, conjuration, etc. Once you click on a particular effect, for example absorb health, the menu on the right hand side will be selected. This menu will first allow you to name your magic spell. Do name it something that you will remember, so it does not get lost in your menu of hundreds of spells. You can number them too for your convenience. A great example that I make use of myself is to name your feather spells so that they are right next to each other on the menu, so you can find and cast them one after the other, because particular spells like the feather spell stack on top of each other. Some spells also have the range option. Self means the spell will work on you. Touch means the spell will work upon touching the enemy or any NPC. Target means you can fire that spell as a magical projectile towards others, and the magic will affect them. Next, you pick the magnitude. This is the number of points of the magical effect. For example, 15 magnitude can mean 15 points of health absorption, 15 points of feather, 15 points of fire damage, etc. You will notice the higher the magnitude or area or the duration in scale, the more the cost of magicka and gold at the bottom of the screen. The gold is not an issue. You may be able to craft a very powerful spell and exceed the magicka cost number on the menu. But if the magicka cost is too high, you will be left without magicka and defenseless for a while as you're recovering. Or you may not even be able to cast it at all if you craft one that requires more than your maximum magicka. If applicable, the area scale determines the vicinity in feet the spell will have effect. For example, a flame spell with 20 feet area of effect will damage everyone within 20 feet from the epicenter of where the spell affected, whether as a touch spell or an exploding target projectile. The duration determines how long the effect of the spell will take place for. For example, a feather spell with duration 120 will last for 120 seconds. Now for the main advantage of spellmaking, adding more effects to the same spell. Just make sure your skill level is high enough to be able to cast the spell of the corresponding effect that you are trying to add to the new custom spell. You have to balance the power of the spell, its magicka cost, and how frequently you plan to use it. If you have watched our enchanting video, a particular trick to get the most out of your spell is to apply the information that high magnitude spell over a short duration is more costly than low magnitude spell over a longer duration, even for the same number of overall damage or output. For example, 20 magnitude points of fire damage over 5 seconds equals 100 points of fire damage. This has a cost with my skill level of 52 magicka points. But the same spell at magnitude 10 instead of 20 and longer duration of 10 seconds instead of 5 seconds has a total cost of 42 magicka instead of 52. A small difference here of 10 points, but once you start adding multiple spell effects, it all adds up. So how do we make the best and the most effective spells in the game? A few necessary information first. When combining multiple damage effects and adding any weakness effect, such as weakness to fire or magic, make sure to add the weakness effects last, at the bottom of the spell's effects. The first time you attack with your magic, the weakness effects will be applied, and the second time you attack, the intended increased damage effects will take place. The opposite is recommended when adding Soul Trap effect. Add the Soul Trap at the top of the list and make sure it lasts longer than the damaging spell effect for it to work properly. Also, just like in our enchanting video, it costs fewer magicka to combine multiple elemental damage. So, to cast 10 points each of Fire, Frost and Shock, it will cost less than casting 30 points of single elemental damage. A way to inflict heavy damage on enemies on Master difficulty is to stack weakness spells. When crafting 2 identical weakness spells, name one spell different from the other so you can cast one after the other to stack the weakness effect. The principle behind this is that weakness to magic can amplify itself along with damaging spells cast after it. So, for example, with the first weakness spell, cast weakness to shock at 100% magnitude for 5 seconds on touch, and also have weakness to magic at 100% for 5 seconds on touch within the same spell. Cast the second weakness spell with the same effects so that it stacks and amplifies itself even further, and then hotkey change the spell to a damaging spell, such as shock damage of 10 points for 10 seconds on touch. This damaging spell would be heavily amplified and would inflict a lot of damage on the enemy. With even harder enemies, you can stack the weakness spells more than twice. You cast spell 1, and then spell 2, and then spell 1 again, and then spell 2 again, and then finally the damaging spell 3, and so on. So when you do strike with the damaging spell at the end, it will have been amplified by several magnitudes. Several other useful spells include Fortify Armorer, 100 points for 1 second on self, cast just before opening the repair menu, allows you to repair all your items without a single repair hammer breaking. Another useful spell you can craft is to Fortify Sneak and Chameleon with 100 magnitude points for 1 to 3 seconds, and cast it just before initiating Pickpocket minigame for a much easier time. The same can be done with the Charm spell on touch and Fortify Mercantile on self at max magnitude 100 for 1 second, cast just before initiating Conversation for a boost in NPC disposition and to have an easier time with speechcraft, bartering and haggling with merchants. There are many more useful combinations of spells to aid you in your journey. Do check out our website, linked in the description, for a list of all the useful spells and their information. That concludes this video. Hope it was useful. Do look forward to more Elder Scrolls guides, lore and useful updates on our channel. Like and subscribe to UESP, the unofficial Elder Scrolls pages.